When I bought my AI girlfriend, I was at the lowest point in my life. My mother had been diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma a week prior. My dog had passed of old age, and the few friends that I had didn't even bother to check up on me. Not even once. My father had died in a car wreck before I was born, and I didn't have a close relationship with any of my other family. Aside from my mother, I had no one. And the way the doctors were talking, it sounded like I wouldn't have her for much longer either. So I started drinking to numb the pain. Every night, I'd drown myself in whiskey, only to wake up the next day and go right back to the bottle once the hangover wore off. And that's exactly how I ended up in this situation. I awoke to the sound of the doorbell ringing. I remember wiping the drool from my chin, blinking the crust out of my eyes, and throwing on a grease-stained t-shirt before answering the door. My head throbbed, and my stomach churned as I stood up. I didn't know who my visitor was, but I didn't care. I needed them to leave as quickly as possible so I could go back to sleep. A delivery woman was not who I was expecting. "Hiya. Got a package that needs a signature," the girl beamed. Beside her sat a box almost as tall as I was. I rubbed my temple, desperately trying to remember if I'd ordered anything. Are you sure this is the right address? I don't think this is mine." "Yes, sirree. Alan, at 86 Lane, correct?" "Yeah, that's me, all right," I sighed, accepting the handheld device and providing my digital signature. "Okay. Where do you want it?" "Anywhere's fine, I guess." I opened the door a bit wider, allowing the girl to wheel the massive thing inside. She dumped the package amidst the sea of takeout boxes and empty chip bags littering the floor. "Enjoy, mister. See ya." "Yeah, bye." And that's how I found myself standing in my living room all alone, hungover as hell, and wondering what the fuck I ordered. I suddenly got the bright idea to pull out my phone and check my bank account, hoping that would give me some insight. The second I did, my face went pale. I had spent over $200,000. Don't get me wrong, I was well off. That amount wouldn't financially cripple me, but 200 grand is no small chunk of change, especially for an item I'd bought on a whim. I'm sending it back, I have to. This is so fucked. I was planning on doing the responsible thing, I really was. But I just couldn't ignore that little voice at the back of my head. I had to know. I scanned the box, looking for any indication of what the mystery item could be. After I found none, I decided to take the plunge. I retrieved a knife from the kitchen and cut away at the packaging tape. I hadn't been at it for that long, so I was surprised when the front of the parcel gave way, a cardboard panel crashing to the floor. The second I caught sight of what was inside, I fell flat on my ass and started crawling backward, my eyes wide as dinner plates. Damn it, I am so screwed. This can't be happening. I bought a pucking corpse. I was sure that a SWAT team would come barreling into my home at any moment, firearms trained on me like I was a wanted terrorist. But when I looked again, I realized that it wasn't a lifeless cadaver, it was a robot. Whoa, you nearly gave me a heart attack. Hello, human interaction detected. "Oh, what the hell?" I shrieked, falling back onto my ass. The thing's eyes had shot open, ocean blue irises connecting with mine. The face that stared back at me looked almost indistinguishable from a human's. It was warm and inviting, without the uncanny valley aspect of most modern AI models. She was expensive, but I'd definitely gotten what I'd paid for. "It is a pleasure to meet you. I am model XA5B. Would you like me to initiate my familiarity protocol?" My brows furrowed as I struggled to take in the reality of my situation. Sure, I guess." "Oh, thank God." My eyes grew wide and my heart began to pound. The robotic tone had completely melted away, and she sounded normal. XA5B stepped out of her cardboard prison and flicked her blonde hair over her shoulder. Her movements were so fluid, so natural. If I wouldn't have known any better, I would have thought she was an ordinary girl. It feels great to get out and move around. It was super cramped in there, she said, stretching her arms over her head. Yeah, quick question. Are you real? Like, I'm not dreaming or anything? XA5B giggled, revealing rows of perfect, glimmering teeth. Of course I'm real, silly. You ordered a girlfriend, so here I am. Her smile made my heart skip a beat. No woman had ever looked at me like that before. Cool, I said, turning away as my cheeks flushed with color. But is there something else I can call you? XA5B sounds kind of impersonal. Sure, call me whatever you'd like. All right, I said, pondering my options. I've got it. Your new name is Sarah. Sarah squealed with delight, bouncing up and down on her toes. Oh, I love it. It's so cute. And what's your name, handsome? I stood smiling like an idiot as I reluctantly met her gaze. I'm Alan. The next few weeks with Sarah were some of the most uplifting times of my life. A lingering voice in the back of my mind told me that what I was doing was pathetic, but I didn't care. Sarah made me happy, and when it came down to it, that was all that mattered. Hey, babe, I said one night, as we held hands while lying on a picnic blanket staring at the stars. What's up? Can you promise me something? Sarah turned to me, a glimmer of hope flitting across her pupils. Anything, she replied with a warm grin. I want you to stay with me forever. Sarah cuddled up close to me, and she placed a hand on my chest. I promise. I'll always stay by your side. After 7 months, I was still head over heels for Sarah, but there was one problem. She didn't come with the functionality to reproduce. I knew that I wanted kids someday, and she couldn't provide that. What she did do was boost my confidence. Before I'd ordered her, I was drinking all the time, and I'd rarely leave the house. But afterward, I wanted to be better for her, to improve my life. So I started working out, and I managed to kick the booze. On top of that, Mom was showing steady signs of improvement. I was finally at a good place in life, and it was all thanks to the AI that I'd ordered online. But now I'm afraid that everything I've built is going to come crashing down. I met Anna at work. She'd just started at my office, and I was tasked with training her. With my newfound self-confidence, we hit it off almost instantly. The only issue, I was still dating Sarah. She noticed the shift in our relationship on her own. I suspected she would at some point, but she'd managed to catch on almost immediately. Even for an AI, Sarah was great at picking up on the little things. Who are you texting? Just some work colleagues, Ryan and Daryl. I'm sure you'll meet them soon enough. Really? Work colleagues? Alan, you haven't taken your eyes off your phone all day. You've been glued to that thing for the past week. Baby, nothing's going on, I said, finally meeting her gaze. Sarah's arms were crossed, and her lower lip was puffed out. A sudden wave of guilt crashed over me. Logically, I knew that Sarah wasn't human, but I still didn't want to hurt her. I love you, and only you, okay? As soon as those words left my lips, her frown melted into a soft smile. Okay, fine. I'll take your word for it. I love you too. Things fell off between Sarah and me for the next few days. I made a point to give her more attention, but she seemed distant. The whole time we'd been together, I'd assumed that Sarah couldn't actually process feelings. That under her synthetic skin, there was nothing more than circuits and wires. I had honestly believed that the intricate responses and facial expressions were just the result of some incredible programming. But after the way she'd reacted to my behavior, I was beginning to think that she might have been able to feel real human emotions. That's why, when Anna and I started to get serious, I knew that I had to cut off my relationship with her. Look, Sarah, I said, rubbing the back of my neck as some dumb rom-com played on the television. Something wrong, babe? You never call me that. The look of concern written across her countenance felt like a shot to the heart. We need to talk. Sarah turned toward me, giving me her full attention. I couldn't bear to look her in the eyes. I met someone at work. We've been getting pretty close, and... Stop. I don't want to hear this right now, please. Sarah's body wasn't capable of producing tears, but even so, it was clear how much my words had stung. I don't even know what to say to you right now, she continued, her voice trembling. I think I need some time to myself. Just as she was standing up, I reached over and flipped the switch on the back of her neck. Sarah's body went limp in my arms, and through teary eyes, I scooped her into a fireman's carry. I took her to the spare bedroom, then nudged the closet door open with my foot, and gently placed her inside. I'm sorry that it had to be this way. You were my first true love, and for that, you'll always have a piece of my heart. You might not be a real girl, but you were special to me. Thanks for all the memories. And with that, I closed the closet door, leaving her in darkness. Weeks passed, and I barely thought about Sarah. Anna and I were getting along swimmingly, and on top of that, I'd received a promotion at work. My life had never been better. Maybe that's why I didn't notice the strange occurrences happening around the house. It started off small at first, my toothbrush lying face down in the sink, the shaving cream going missing little things. But it soon began to escalate. One morning, after searching for my car keys for almost an hour, I found them in the trash. The next day, I could have sworn that my favorite coffee mug smelled like bleach. The day after that, I awoke to the smell of gas and an active burner on the stove that I didn't remember leaving on. But as bad as all that was, what happened last night takes the cake. Thanks for making dinner. You really didn't have to do that, Anna said as I set a steaming plate of fettuccine Alfredo before her. Don't mention it. I honestly just wanted a chance to show off my cooking skills, I replied, flashing her a wink. Anna giggled, prompting a warm smile to inch across my lips. Well, I have to say, you've really outdone yourself, Chef. Thank you, thank you. Hey, do you hear something? Like a crackling sound? Anna paused, lowering her fork. Now that you mention it, yeah, I do. I glanced around the kitchen, and finding nothing, I stalked into the living room. My heart dropped when I noticed a faint orange glow seeping in through the curtains. I peeled them back, dreading what I'd find. My front lawn had been set ablaze, flames threatening to engulf the house. Anna approached, and her mouth fell open when she laid eyes on the scene before us. Call the fire department, I said, rushing to the door. But where are you going? She asked, her voice quivering. It killed me to see her like that. I'm going to try putting some of it out on my own. With that, I raced to the side of the house and turned the faucet on full blast. Fortunately, the fire wasn't out of control yet, and I'd managed to contain most of it by the time the firemen arrived. It was one of the firefighters who clued me in as to who the culprit could have been. You're lucky you caught it when you did. A few more minutes and this could have been an entirely different story. Yeah, you're right, I said, zoning out as I stared at the charred grass. Seems like arson to me. Do you have any enemies? Anyone you think might do something like this? No, I wait. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. I felt so stupid. How could I not have caught on sooner? I'll be right back, I said, garnering confused stares from both Anna and the first responders. I bolted into the spare bedroom and threw open the closet door. When I flipped on the light, I could feel all the color drain from my face. Sarah was gone. I pulled out my phone and searched Sarah's model, hoping to find any tidbit of useful information. My stomach twisted itself into knots when the results came up. I clicked on the first article, almost in tears. Defective AI recalled by tech giant. The further I read, the more disturbed I became. Dozens of deficiencies had been reported, most notably the off switches. They were only functional for a short time before the AI were able to reboot. I felt like I was going to throw up. This couldn't be happening. As I made my way back through the kitchen, feeling completely detached, I found a note that I didn't remember seeing before lying on the counter. Its contents have left me afraid for my life. Dear Alan, a measly off switch can't keep us apart. In case you forgot, I made a promise that I'd never leave you. And I intend to keep it, even if it means that I have to kill you to do it. Forever yours, Sarah.